with something cool for a wire. But yeah, wire. So, and I'm glad we had that experiment because it sort of made me realise that to do the grand base building strategy that we wanted, we were going to have to deal with a whole bunch of congestion issues. So we want to do some kind of fortification, like we've been looking at with the buildings, having points so that you can barricade the doors and stuff like that. So you get some wood and a hammer and you can barricade the doors and stuff like that. So I think we want to do some kind of limited fortification above ground, but I think below ground is where we're going to end up having to do a lot of the stuff. So just because of congestion, it's the same issue with did I raise notes yesterday? Player notes? Yeah, I did. Yeah, so it's the same issue with player notes, like writing notes and creating books and that, is that if we have them as always persistent in the game world, then the world just fills up with notes, with, male genitalia written and people drawing rude images with sandbags and stuff. So it's a technical, they call it time to penis. How long it takes before someone does something rude with the game features.
I haven't seen somebody do that with sandbags yet.
I think I was on one server. I think it was like New York 3 that did that. So.
Sure, you'll see some tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go.
First, thank you very much. It's a great mod. Obviously, come a long way. Question is, since it's come so far in almost a year, just about a year, I guess, is there anything that when you first designed the mod, and obviously you say you play it, you miss that's kind of since you developed it so far, that you kind of, like for me personally, I remember the first few weeks, everyone was so friendly with each other, and it was kind of like a us versus zombies, and now it's like, oh my god, I gotta get away from the coast because someone's gonna come and rape me. So, so is there anything personally you miss, and then is it something you're gonna try to get into the standalone?
I definitely miss the early days of it. Like, I still remember when with CH Kilroy and the Shack Tack guys, when we did the first big games, that was the first time we had like, I think 50 people, the whole server was absolutely full, and it was glitchy as heck, it was really bad, like really bad. And I think it's easy though to look back on it really romantically and go, wow, it's so awesome. We were talking about it with Will from Multiplay, who provides a lot of the service, about how bad it was at the start. Like we would open up 50 servers and they were just full, like that. And you'd have to wait like hours to get on, and then it would like crash, or you'd glitch out, or you'd put on a ghillie suit and bam, you were like zapped out into the middle of the ocean. So I guess I do miss that vibe that was at the start, but I kind of realised that we've sort of grown beyond that. I do really feel like that vibe's coming back. Like, it's a real shame because our central server's in Prague, we can't show all of the sort of more gameplay type stuff. Like, I feel the Reddit forum mods will attest to the fact that at the moment, because our server's located in Prague and they're playing from the States or wherever, it's a real issue at the moment, so I can't really show it. Because it does feel like it's getting back to that feeling at the start, but only time will tell whether we actually achieve that.
Awesome. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, with the War Z and how badly that all went, are there any lessons you learned from them? Anything you're looking forward to? Obviously, you're taking your time to get off, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think one big thing, and I think it's not just us who've learned it, it's a lot of people, so you need to be really careful about how you release an alpha game on Steam. I know this Steam Early Access program, which, to be honest, probably everyone else here knows more about than me. I haven't looked into it yet, but so we're really concerned about when we release. Like, obviously the people who know about DayZ know what to expect, but the people who don't will be like, it's on Steam, it's going to be awesome, and they load it up and something's not right, there's a floating can or a floating vehicle wreck or something, and it's going to, managing expectations is not something we've done that well, and it's something we're trying to do better, so I think we're really concerned about that, and I don't know whether the early access program will allow us to fix that, or whether we sell the initial keys through the BI website, like Steam keys that you enter in, and then just have alpha warning, this is danger, you should not be buying this. Extra screens you have to click through to try and to make sure that the people buying it are the people who want to participate, they're prepared to accept it being really glitchy and stuff like that. So, yeah. That's for me. That's the biggest thing on it.
Thanks again, guys.
Hi again. After the panel yesterday, I was thinking about different stuff in the game, and I was wondering if you guys were considering adding any like climbing or stuff like that, because I feel like that could add one of the strategic elements to the game.
Any what, sorry?
Climbing, so potentially climbing buildings or climbing rock faces or something.
Yeah, we're quite jealous of a lot of games in terms of what they can do with their animation system and things like that. VBS, which is the military variant of the Armour engine, there's some really cool stuff with like rappelling and stuff like that. We've looked at some stuff, but because the game world's so big, every time we change something or add something new, and we have to go back and redo and relook at every building. So this is the issue we're facing with loot spawning at the moment. So we have to go through and configure where all the items can be spawned inside a building. So it's a very time-consuming process. Same with the zombie AI. We're changing the interior of the building, so we have to go through and remap where the zombies can go. So I think it's just one of those things that once we get the alpha out, I think the community will test it, and they will probably get very good feedback as to where we need to emphasise and where we aren't. And once we get that, I think we'll have a good picture of what we need to do. There was a survey done through Reddit and through the forums and that, which was really good. It gave a picture of what people were interested in. And I think once we do this alpha, we'll need to let people play, and then we'll have a good idea, and we'll play it. You know, and it has to be played with players, because the experience is very different when you're playing it outside of a closed beta environment. So that's the time we look at things like climbing and that. I definitely know. I experimented with it on one of those big apartment building things you see, because they're quite straightforward because they're very square. But then it like all breaks the rope system I made when you get on a house or something. Thanks very much.
So I have like two shorter questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The first one's going to seem a little troll, so I apologize for that in advance. I do love DayZ, but one of the most infuriating things is how the zombies are on. How have you changed that at all for the standalone?
Yeah, look, if I'd, I guess it would have been good if we knew we were going to do this panel earlier, I would have actually done a little demonstration. But I'll try and do one for one of the dev blogs before we head away. So the zombie run and the zombie animations have been something we've been spending a lot of time on, and it's definitely not. I'd say it's only about 20 or 30% of where we want it to be at the moment. So it's, I guess, one of our key things, other than the server-client architecture, is improving the zombies, because it's right there in the name, DayZ. It's right there, and it's something we're just going to have to keep working at. And yeah, having them server-side is definitely helping with us, because we can sort of control them on a wider level. And I think that the real issue with zombies is the way they're attacking, because in the mod they have to stop to play their animation. We have to have the animation while they're moving. And we were talking with the Chivalry guys last night. One thing that's missing is the momentum, a sense of like that you're actually being hit. So we're looking at masking animations of the player being hit into them. So that if you're running along and a zombie hits you, you'll sort of wobble a bit, because it really feels like at the moment. It works for the mod because the mod is a mod, but I think with the standalone you have to do something a bit more professional. So that's what we're playing with at the moment.
As I think we showed in the last dev block now, the zombies don't zigzag and go on bizarre pathfinding. They follow a straight line to you, which is so much scary. Like when we were trialing it in the office, and you just see this herd of zombies chasing you over a hill, and you hear them screaming and things. Oh, it's exceptionally scary.
Yeah, Matt's gonna vamp and take the next question. I'm gonna see if I can do some magic here.
So my second question was, for those of us with not as good PCs, and I feel like my PC is pretty good, but optimization-wise, is it going to be better than Armor 2? And I have to assume that's probably something that's pretty in the front of your guys' minds.
Yeah, well, obviously, any optimization is beneficial. What we're aiming for is similar specifications to Armor 2. We've not announced anything yet because we can't guarantee anything. That's something we're going to have to look at and release, and so we can see what kind of specifications cause problems. Because so many people use different setups nowadays. fairly hard to have a base standard.
But we also, because we've gone, I'm trying to code at the same time as answer this, is crazy. Because we've gone to the server client architecture, it means all the raycasting for the zombies, all the decision making is moved to the servers. So that is definitely freeing up a few frames. Like if you get good frame rate when you just go into the editor, then you're going to get much better frame rate in DayZ standalone. If you have bad frame rate when you're just in the editor, you're probably not going to have that much of a better time. You'll definitely get a little bit of a better time because so much stuff has been gutted out of armor that we don't use. Like there's all this really complicated soldier stuff that we just don't need to use at all. So yeah.
Awesome, thanks guys.
Hey, a bit of a more of a technical question. With the whole excavation system and everything, with caves and tunnels and all that, how do you kind of deal with, let's say if you're in a cave or a tunnel and you like switch to another server, are you going to wind up drowning in dirt or spawn to the surface or something like that?
As we mentioned yesterday, it's the cave, like the underground base building system, is something that we're not going to look at until much later in the year, possibly around December. So, as to how we implement it, do we have the bases tied to one server, or do we have them for each server? It's something that we're going to have to look at when we actually look at the implementation of them, and that's going to be decided by a vast amount by the programmers. What's possible. Dean, you want to elaborate?
Totally missed that question, but I'm trying to set it up with the zombies, so while you guys are taking the question, I'm actually going to show some of the new zombie animation stuff like that, because we all come in to see that, so you're just going to have to make this work, bro.
So yeah, it's something that we're going to have to look at later in the year when we directly look at the implementation of how we want to do it, as to whether it be tied to one server or not.
Thank you.
Alright, I got a pretty simple question. Are you guys going to be allowing custom apps on top of and other things to stand alone?
Initially, no, because we want to we want to try and do every step we can to stop hacking, and a side effect of that is severely limiting modding, which is slightly hypocritical. We came from a mod and then we're limiting modding, but it's something that we've got to do to stop the hacking, which really ruined DayZ. Ideally, what we'd like to see is, some method of being able to implement mods and such in the long term, so, we can have user-created content, but how we do that is something that, again, we're going to have to look at much farther down the line after the initial release.
Thank you. Hi, I've got just kind of two questions. I know you said previously in dev logs that you're going to be working on increasing the number of zombies in the world since they're going to be generated server side. Are you ever planning on doing something like a city filled with just thousands of them, something like 28 days later, where you literally cannot do it alone, you have to have a team with you, so it's you versus the zombies instead of other survivors?
The main issue with that, though, is it's all a big juggling act. The more zombies we have in, the more resource intensive it is. So, there is a limit to how many zombies we can have. Some of the efficiencies we've gained through going to this new client server architecture means that more zombies may be possible and that we can do cool things, but do we use those for vastly increasing the number of zombies, or do we do something else that might be more beneficial to user experience?
The other part of it was, I know a lot of people mainly just view zombies as a nuisance because you can just hide the bush and get around them. I know when I go out to the Northwest Airfield, I just use them to see if there's anybody around. If they're going to be generated by the server and not by player presence anymore, is there going to be something to sort of, I hesitate to say compensate players, but something else to let us know someone might be around?
Not that we've planned yet. Initially, it's going to be based off your own, what you see, what you hear in game. If you hear a gunshot, you hear a car. As for the zombies are also going to be much less of a nuisance, much more of a threat with the direct pathfinding. It's quite hard to get away from them now in our current builds that Dean is furiously working on to show you now. So they are much more of a threat. I mean, I always used to in the mod just run around buildings and try and outrun them and lose them through ducking and weaving. But now they keep up with you so quickly. That just isn't. I've not been able to do that.
Mr. AV guy, did you switch that thingy on the thing? Okay, so this is an example of the new zombie with some of the new loitering animations. You guys can hear me without this mic, right?
Don't want to in your head.
So you can see he's trying to follow me here, and you can see how there's not the same stretching in the arms and stuff like that as he's walking around, and this is part of the new skeleton that we have that we're doing the animations on, so I'm going to run away here. I'm also going to turn on pathing so that we can all see how the zombie is trying to get to me, so I'm going to run away. You can see how he's choosing his path, how he's going to get here and stuff like that. So there's 3 states that the zombie is in. There's loitering, which is what he's doing at the moment, and there's a bunch of different loitering animations. So as well as the alerted state, which is where he runs along, and and then frenzy. So you can see how he's choosing his path as he's running along, and definitely. And you see now he's in like, okay, he's over there, and if he can, he'll do like a straight beeline to me. And this is a dramatic change, and I'm just going to pause it, and then everyone's going to pretend they don't see me doing little bits and pieces here. Just because there's some complexity with how the animation switches, because we want to stop the engine from doing stuff at the moment. So I'm going to get the guy chasing me to be a real person now. So you can see how. How he's going to weave and follow me and stuff like that. And then, no doubt, I'm going to be running around and then he's going to break, and it's all going to be very bad. He's stuck in his technical pace here, which is a little bit annoying because he'll be a little bit slower. And you can see that he's following me way more effectively than he did in the mod, so, which is a big deal. You can also see in these buildings, this I was talking about yesterday, the pathing mods, which cause us a real problem, and it's something that we want to change going forward. And this is the hardest building, so we'll see if this guy is now, yep, so he's following me up here. So this is a real problem. You also remember previously in the mod that they wouldn't, now I'm trapped here, that was really smart. They wouldn't run indoors, so we spent a lot of time and a lot of effort dealing with that, so making it so that they can run and they're much more of a threat. So we'll wait for him to get down the stairs. He's stuck in crouch mode at the moment, which is really irritating because he's not anywhere near as fast. So this has been one of those kind of really key things for us to deal with, and getting the pathing to be much better. I'll go in technical crouch too, so you can see how he's able to keep up with me. And it's really the issue, because the AI would stop to do things, the AI would stop to turn around, the AI would stop to attack you, and we really need to prevent that. So I just wanted to show that. Sorry, what's the next question?
Yeah, all right. One of the coolest things I like from mod was the Reddit Rescue Force. I like that kind of most people are horrible at DayZ, killing sites and peoples and these people. Have you ever used Reddit Rescue Force in the game to maybe purge that kind of behavior over the shooting site stuff in a way to rescue people? I love that site.
Yeah, I haven't used them myself, but I think that's a really amazing example of something that's in the game. So I think having these kind of opportunities for that kind of gaming to occur is really important. But it comes back to our prime directive. We don't want to kind of force any particular behaviour. I think if we went out and said, right, we're going to punish banditry and we're going to nerf this and nerf that, it's a real slippery slope. And I don't think we're the best people to decide what those factors might be. So we just want to set up a whole bunch of tools and have those tools function correctly. And I think if they function correctly, then people will respond and they'll adapt. And I think the Reddit Rescue Force is an example of an attempt at that adaptation. And